Welcome to today's collective reading. I do have an announcement to make, and that is that I've made some updates to my website as well as my page here on YouTube under my channel, as well as under the video description. So there's some new links that work and are updated, as well as I am beginning to offer some personals. So feel free to email me and I will get to you in a timely fashion while bookings are still open and available. All right, so that being said, let's get into the reading. I do want to say that the energy that's coming through already, it's choosing your path to abundance, making yourself really aware of all the priorities, all the details that you can, going through the list, going through all of that systematically, removing things from the list as you complete them, adding things to it that you learn you need to add as you go through and complete your objectives, and to share your voice, to share that gift that your life has brought you. That is the pursuit through the process to your abundance. Because you've learned to alchemize that pain, and others are needing to have bits and pieces of that, or could be helped, could be nurtured, could be feeling a little more included when you share your own story, your own path. Yeah, it may feel a little like a leap of faith, but it will take something that feels like a 10 of Wands and it'll turn it into a 5. Something that can be overcome. Okay. So that's pretty much what was coming through before the reading. So let's see what is coming from more of the 3D perspective, the guidance from Gaia, the guidance from the aspect of your life that is everyday, that is the nitty-gritty, that is moment to moment. In the placement of Earth, this is going to really speak a lot to what is solid, what is immovable, what is your foundation really set upon. What are you observing but not necessarily speaking to or ready to speak to? And are you hesitating to share what you know because maybe some part of you feels you still need to observe? And this is where the clarifiers will come in. So in the assertive energy, oh, we got 3-3, we got 33 here. Oh boy, okay. So there's a bit of a hesitance in the assertive energy as to whether or not you have chosen the right path, you're choosing the right path, you're relying a lot more on your intuition than you're necessarily normally comfortable with. So it feels like a leap of faith. It feels like that leap of faith. And what is motivating this is the desire to move away from a path that you know you will not choose. It's kind of like you're at a crossroads and you could go 4 directions. You could turn around and go back. Well, you really don't want to do that. That's what the 3 of Swords is. If you go backwards, not good, not good. So you have 3 options. 3 options, because to go backwards is to have a broken heart. And this could be pertaining to any aspect of your life where you would just be really disappointed. Which is kind of poignant because the primary emphasis for the 3D energy here is this concept of being in 2 worlds, where you feel that you belong in both, but not completely when you're in one or the other. So you're always, you're living in 2 time zones simultaneously. It's kind of an iconic thing. I'm sure it's been represented in movies and here and there, but if you go to the border of a state that, you know, in this state it's 1 o'clock and on the other side it's 2 o'clock. Technically that's time travel if you jump from one side to the other and back and forth, and you can kind of have like a little bit of a little fun with it. Now you add this to like a different dimension, a different level of ability, a level of awareness. It gets a little more complicated because you're not jumping from one side to the other. You may be more predominantly present in one side versus the other, but you're still energetically aware and present and perceptive within both. So to go backwards from where you have been leading to this moment is not acceptable. You know you will have a broken heart there. It is not acceptable. And you do have help. You have assistance with which path to choose. And even if you do choose, like either path, any path is fine. It's what you choose. And you'll have help regardless. You'll have assistance. You'll have your guardians, your guides around you, supporting you. And yes, it does feel a little uncomfortable, a little different. But that is good. That means you're growing. You're being challenged, and you're challenging yourself. That you're at this crossroads alone is huge. I'm actually really excited for you. This is such a beautiful moment to be doing something outside of your comfort zone that you're passionate about and willing to take that chance with. In the receptive energy, what we have here is the Five of Wands upright. So it's something you can balance. Even though it's uncomfortable, it's out of your norm, you're not necessarily certain and incredibly confident that it will go as you desire it to, or you feel it's needed for it to go. So you have a deadline. It has, you know, X, Y, or Z has to be done to this standard by this date, and you're not necessarily certain that you can do that, but you're going to try. And in the trying of that and having that support and knowing that you're learning and knowing that you've learned enough about where you're comfortable to begin learning where you're not, it's going to be something that you're going to probably surprise yourself with, because paired with the Three of Swords is the Sun. To go back is to have that disappointment and heartbreak. To go forward, you are open to being abundantly surprised with how happy you can be on the path that you desire to choose, being that you are present within both worlds. It's a growing experience, and the invitation from the divine is to approach this with like an overwhelming amount of love and compassion for yourself as you move through this. Because you're going to have those critical thoughts. You're going to have those, hey, you're really out of your comfort zone. And you're going to have that inner dialogue, that talk with yourself of, yeah, but you know what? I'm worth doing this. I'm worth challenging myself. This is helping me, and it's helping so many other people. Whatever path you choose, you are affecting everyone and everything around you in a positive way, because you're healing and alchemizing and growing and learning, which inspires that same change in others. So you are moving through your life every moment with love, and that leaves a huge impact. Even if you don't directly see it, you are making a huge impact, because when you help one person smile, so they're on a bad day, and you just bump into them in passing. You're at like a restaurant, a gas station, a convenience store, something that you don't even think about because it's so automatic, and you're lost in your meditative shopping state. For example, at the grocery store, being kind and conscientious in that moment could be the very thing that completely surprises them and takes their day from one where everyone's been cruel, and every time someone's not necessarily cruel, but they're lost in their mind, it's like a reaffirmation, a re-strengthening of that negative experience that maybe started, at the beginning of the day, or maybe they rolled out of bed and they were crabby right away. You never know what someone else is going through. And that kindness, how simple, however small and simple, say they drop something and you pick it up for them, and you don't have to, and you don't want anything for the kindness. You're just doing it because to you it's the right thing to do. That can completely switch the energy for their entire day, because in that moment you give them hope that there are still people that are kind and caring and generous and sweet and considerate when they do not have to be, when they have nothing to gain from it in the physical reality. In other words, like a really good example, say you're moving in somewhere, and it's just you, and you're fine doing it yourself, moving all the stuff from your car into your new apartment, and some people are around, and they offer to help you, and after a little bit of convincing, you let them, and then one of them asks you for payment. That's a little bit of a take back, right? Because it was presented as doing something kind for you. However, not everyone in that group necessarily had that expectation, and they really were just doing it to be kind. So something like that, like if you're experiencing someone always expecting something for every little thing, versus having someone surprise you doing something without expectation, these ways of treating yourself with kindness and with love, they ripple out from you, because you find yourself being considerate of others, wanting to make that person smile just because you can. And then they bring that change of attitude, of feeling, of hope home, and they affect maybe their partner and their kids, and it just domino effects from there. We are all interconnected and interrelated. So that is the divine guidance for this position here. Yes, you may feel like you're a bit in both worlds, and things may be a little like, I don't know, but you can do this, and you're not alone. And the advice is to really be as compassionate and considerate and kind and caring of yourself as possible, to always remind yourself that. And that will always help to strengthen you along this path. And it will bring you to that sun in the upright. It's just a reminder. Okay. And moving into the placement of air, which is, really what the knowledge that you're gaining, any kind of studying you've been doing, integrations, downloads, research, even. You've been very, very sly, very cunning with this position here. Being in two worlds, you're learning what will help you in the other world in an unconventional way, and vice versa. So very, very tricky. Good for you. Okay, so in the assertive energy, you have taken this leap right into this information. You're like, it's happening, it's occurring, it's a thing, I now know stuff. Okay, so all right, let's see what happens. Let's just take this leap and trust that the divine, have that net there. Take, what was it? When you take that leap of faith, trust that the net will appear. And the net is most certainly there because you've found yourself actively breaking free of any self-delusion, any lies, any misconceptions, any inner critical voices that are not necessarily yours, but could be from past friends, family members, that you're now aware enough of self to notice when it's their voice that's still impacting how you feel, think, and move in the world. And because of that awareness, you cut that tie. You're no longer in the Eight of Swords, as this is Eight of Swords inverted. So taking that leap into this knowledge, even though you couldn't really see the net, you trusted that the divine had you. In the receptive energy, we have the Ace of Wands upright and the Empress upright. So that leap of faith had a lot to do with your intuition and all of the emotions that were coming through, the memories, the thoughts, the feelings, the fears, all of that you processed and you brought forward, and you cried and you raged, and you've learned yourself, you've alchemized yourself. Everything that you didn't feel was yours, everything that didn't feel truth to you, you chose to change that. And that takes courage and patience and will, fire, passion to do that, because it can be painful, but it's like purging almost. Like you cry it out and then you're free, you're elated, you're kind of at peace. Some like they need to have some quality time doing some kickboxing, and then they feel that same release, which has put you in a perfect position to not just embody abundance across every possible platform. It's not just money, it's not just 3D abundance. You have the capacity to love so completely because you know yourself so completely, and you're also aware that you will continually be learning more and more and more. That awareness that you're always under construction, you're always alchemizing, learning, transforming, and enjoying that unfolding of yourself is a beautiful thing to give to yourself and those around you, yes, but you're able to love to such a volume that you are manifesting so much abundance in your life, be it physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationship, friendship, family, like whatever you desire, because you are living this, walking this, breathing this, being this, it will come to you. You may not even realize you're manifesting it. You're very, very powerful in this position here with that knowledge that you're always freeing yourself. The divine guidance present for this one, the placement of the higher dimensions, kind of the overarching higher view, looking down into your daily life and the elements that tug and pull on you. We have the Queen of Swords. Now, typically, this deck, everything comes out upright. But in this particular case, this card did some acrobatics, and it ended up inverted, which is more of a question of, are you still in the Queen of Swords state? How do you feel about your boundaries? Because as you continue to learn and grow and evolve, those boundaries are going to learn and grow and evolve with you, because you'll be encountering different situations, different people, different energies, dynamics. So the Queen of Swords is invited to be flexible, the way you approach your boundaries and what you will and will not accept. And who do you look to for guidance on that? Do you just take your own personal perspective on it? Do you add in a more of a divine perspective? Do you look for guidance? Do you ask those around you for their opinions? Where are you drawing those lines? Because come the end of the day, you're driving your life. You're co-manifesting, yes. But you have a very powerful say in where you navigate your ship in life. Yes, the divine is helping you. Yes, the divine is there. Yes, Gaia is present. But ultimately, you have your hand on the steering wheel. You can choose which path to take. You don't have to take their advice. There's consequences for not listening to your intuition. Yes, but there's consequences also for listening to your intuition. So why are you deciding what you're deciding to do when it comes to boundaries is very important for you to be very aware of. Why? Spend time in reflection whenever you're at a crossroads as to why you should go down this path or another path. Otherwise, you may feel like you're not actually making the decisions. The Gaia and the divine are actually making the decisions and you don't have a say. You're just going with the flow. So then you kind of fall out of the co-manifesting state when your opinion, your desire, your want is very important. So keeping that balance within yourself, because you take the time, you make the effort to know yourself and allow yourself to adapt. Understanding why is the key here. Why? What is influencing the change? And why should you make this change versus that change? Okay, going into the placement of fire, which is your will, the passion, the desire, the feelings, the emotions. I had this come to me the other day, and I'm being called to share it. So the equation E equals mc squared stands for emotion equals manifestation times co-creation squared. So what do you desire to manifest? Okay. Are you open to co-creating? All right. Well, all right. So then we end up with the divine, the spark within you, desires to manifest and co-create. Okay, so that's squared, and that equals your emotion. Now that equation goes both directions. It doesn't necessarily have to start with manifesting and co-creating. It could begin with the emotion turning into the manifestation, co-creation. So this is the very basis of fire, your will. What is your most intense emotional desire, want, need? You breathe it, you think it's subconsciously with you all day, every second. What is that? That is what you are co-creating into your reality. That is will. In a mathematical formula. In a mathematical formula. Ooh, a little channeling there. You're not alone in this. There are so many people. Like, this card literally speaks of a community, a group of individuals that you maybe don't know yet, but you will. You will. And they're kindred spirits. Kindred spirits. And another term for that would be soul tribe, but they're kindred spirits. They understand you. And you may have come to this organically of your own free will, like just living life. So, in the assertive energy, so we have the inverted Four of Pentacles and the inverted Page of Pentacles. So the inverted Four of Pentacles to me is telling me if it were upright, you would be very protective of every penny. You'd be nickel and diming, right? You'd be very, very miserly, right? But being that it's in the inverted, it tells me you were once there. But you are tempted, if not already making a decision or finding yourself living that thing that you have manifested, that has inspired you not to nitpick every little tiny thing. You're being tempted to open to the concept of not being in fight or flight, really. Survival mode. That to me, being in the miserly, or like there's another term for it and I can't think of it right now. But the really like the nitpicky, the nickel and diming kind of thing, the counting every little thing is something that is a self-defense mechanism. And you have been manifesting living where you don't have to be in that state with someone, with someone's, of belonging, of feeling safe with another. And this inverted Page of Pentacles, to me, it's almost a humbling. I know traditionally the interpretation of this card is that it's making an offering or giving an opportunity, presenting an option to somebody to co-create in partnership in some way with you. But that's not really what I'm getting from this. Now, it could mean that to some of the people in the collective, so I did want to speak to it, but the deeper meaning underneath this intuitively in this particular readings is telling me at one point you thought or you felt like you had to give that offer, you had to make that offer. You thought you had to share, to teach, that you had so much that you had to give, but you're recognizing you actually need to be assertively open to how much you don't know, to how much you actually have to receive yet. So while you may be offering your knowledge and your awareness, you are assertively aware that you have a lot of knowledge and information to receive as well. So while you will be giving out a Page of Pentacles, a pentacle to others, you will be receiving pentacles as well. This really speaks to me of knowledge, awareness, understanding how to understand the self, work with the shadow side of yourself, to continually hone and adjust and learn how to alchemize more and more that of yourself that you desire to change as you move through different stages of life, and you're learning and you're growing and you're needing to adapt to the new expectation, which is healthy, which is very healthy. And it is something that a group of like-minded kindred spirits would be able to provide, to share knowledge amongst each other, to strengthen one another. In the receptive energy, it backs up my take on this Four of Pentacles, because it's paired with the Tower upright, which the concept of the Four of Pentacles is radically kind of shifted with the Tower. And then you have the Magician upright paired with the Page of Pentacles. So this is something that you have willed into being. Is to belong, to co-create, to share, to have a community to learn from and teach and share with. This radical change of being so protective of yourself that you basically literally built a tower around yourself, and it's been flipped, it's been coming, it changed because you desired to come out of that tower. You were convinced by what you observed to allow the tower to fall that you had built around yourself. Absolutely beautiful. From the divine perspective, the higher perspective, looking down into all the dynamics, possibly even seeing the many different ways that things go depending on the decisions that you make. So they could be providing insight from different timeline options that are still viable as well. Choices you have yet to decide. This is the Nine of Swords in the upright. This one speaks of the energies that had you in the upright Four of Pentacles, that kept you from giving to yourself and giving to others, that helped you to reinforce the strength of your tower that you built around yourself, the walls you built around yourself, and also to help to continually challenge you to remain within those walls, to assist in reinforcing that you needed to. There is this concept with that Nine of Swords, so much anxiety. So it could happen a lot where these thoughts, these feelings, they would really kind of come in and be intrusive more at nighttime, when you're alone, when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're hurting, when you were possibly a little more open to suggestion and manipulation. At one point, these thoughts and feelings and intrusive kinds of energies could have been more positive, but they definitely took a much darker turn. And this card it's really telling me that you've mastered your awareness of this energy, this dynamic. You're aware of the illusion, and you have, honestly, you vanquished it. You've removed it. And if you haven't gotten there yet, you are there. You're on your way there. It's going to happen. The more that you're aware that it's not real, the less power it holds. So keep going. Keep fighting. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, because the divine has your back. Leap and the net will appear. Keep walking. One step in front of the other, and you will eventually find yourself on the other side, looking back at this energy that kept you in that tower, kept you scared, kept you isolated, kept you feeling like you needed to keep yourself apart. And you'll realize how much you learned about yourself in overcoming that illusion, and how incredibly strong you are, and how many people could benefit from understanding and knowing how you did that, how you kept putting one foot in front of the other. Because there's a lot of people that could benefit from someone who continually gets back up, dusts their shoulders off, and keeps going, keeps trying, and doesn't compromise their values. Because you stayed true to you in this. You stayed a good person. You didn't go to the dark. You stayed standing in the light. Because there's this image has, a youth standing in this like foggy light, looking up to this otherworldly being that's a little more in shadow and otherworldly because there's some features that are not human, but they are above a fire. So it's the implication of it having been summoned or willed into being. Whether you were misled to believe, like I said initially, that this energy was a positive influence because it started out that way, or it was something that someone else willed into being in your reality, it's going to be different for each and every one of you, as you are all unique and you all have your own nuances and facets that if you were to share these struggles would only reinforce everyone else's knowledge and ability to overcome that struggle as well, because you found the way. It's almost like sharing the cheat sheet, but then it's also, to what extent are you really helping if you're not allowing them to find their way? So there's definitely a role for the divine guidance always to be considered. Always to be considered. The point, though, is that you remained within the light in spite of the illusion around you. So congratulations, you have willed that triumph, that victory, that awareness, that illumination within yourself, that awakening to the knowledge of it completely, to the point that this energy no longer has say, no longer has influence. And if you do encounter it, it kind of makes you laugh a little bit now. That's the best thing to do with anything that's kind of malicious and maybe a little mean or cruel, is like when you find it humorous, it completely deflates any energy that it could bring, because you're not feeding it fear. It has nothing to galvanize, to add to itself, to strengthen itself with. You're giving it the opposite of the food it desires. Fuel. Moving into the element of water. Yes, it's the awareness that, yet again, that you write your own story. What story are you going to tell about your life right now? How would you describe the struggles of the last week, the last month, the last year? How do you tell that story to yourself? And when you ask yourself this question 2 weeks from now, or when you're in a really good state, when something awesome just happened, or when something not so great just happened, or when you're kind of in the middle of the up or the down, you're a little more neutral, become aware of those nuances and how much of an impact that has on the story you tell yourself. And with that awareness, you can begin to start telling a more consistent story, and that consistent story will lessen the dramatic high and the dramatic low, because it'll be tempered with the story you choose to tell of yourself versus the one that in the moment is being amplified one way or the other based upon transitory circumstances. It will assist you quite a bit in manifesting a more consistent manifestation as well. Okay. In the assertive energy, what we have here is shadow work. Now, this card, it didn't come out upright and it didn't come out inverted either. It's in between. So this is something that is, kind of is highlighted in the placement of air, is always under construction. It's always, because you're working with yourself in two different realities. For example, we'll just say you're working with your soul side, the part of you that's not in this reality, like not from this reality, but is incarnated within your physical form in this reality. So being aware of, say, like your Akashic records and all of that history, all of that awareness, like learning about yourself from that angle is wow, right? Especially if you have no access or have had no access to that. So you're going to be doing something like that while also being very present in your physical reality and understanding how what you're learning ties into your physical reality. So you are in both worlds simultaneously. This will help you with this Ace of Swords inverted to discern what is truth and what is deception even more. This is a upgrade to your intuition. This is what you're actively creating right now, what you're living right now. Okay. In the receptive energy, we have the awareness of what once was and comparing it to what is now. So who were you 5 years ago? 6 years, 10, 15? The most recent you that you can tell you are markedly different from, and comparing that. What is different? What is the same? What has changed for the better? What hasn't? What would I like to work towards having more of and letting go of? Evaluating these things. That is also in the same exact place as the moon card, where it wasn't upright and it wasn't inverted. So it's in process right now. Learning of yourself. This could also speak to the concept of the community, of the kindred spirits, of any individual that you are co-manifesting with. That evaluation, it could be that you're looking into one another on a 5D soul level, into the shadow aspects. In other words, that which you are not aware of. This may not be conscious. This may be something that's a little more unconscious that is happening. But it's what happens when you move closer and closer towards having achieved a co-manifestation from soul perspective into the 3D reality. So you're looking at that shadow aspect within the other kindred spirits that you're co-manifesting with. So you're understanding what is truth, what is illusion. The other card that is in the receptive here is the Nine of Swords, which this particular card, being upright, it is like a herald of divine intervention. Because now you can heal, now you can sleep, now you can know that there is a dove amongst all of these crows. Okay? Because the dove, if you paint it black, it could look a lot like a crow, right? Well, that dove is no longer pretending to be a crow. That dove is owning its pure white feather. So you can heal this energy that you overcame in the fire placement, that you had victory over, because you fully understood, saw, owned with every part of your being that it had no power anymore, and you stayed in your light. This is the confirmation intuitively that you have no anxiety about this anymore. You don't have any anxiety about it. You know that there's a dove there. You know that you have divine helping you, acknowledging you, assisting. Especially because the implication in both of these aspects, that you were being troubled when it came time to sleep, to dream, to rest, when you were in pain, correct? You can rest now. You know that. You feel it. You're living it. The divine perspective coming down into this particular placement is that it is rapid movement forward. It's leaping into this with all the grace and balance and beauty of a cheetah, a jaguar, a lion. Very feline energy. You know how focused they are when they're ready to go, right? Like mid-leap, they know right where they're going. It's similar to an interview I saw once. And I can't remember their names, but they're a little more recent gentlemen. And somebody had a really nice sports car, and they were doing really scary stunt-like things with them. And it was implied, like, if as a driver you're looking where you want the vehicle to go, say you're doing like drifting or something, right? And you're learning and it's new to you, so on and so forth. It really drove home in the interview that if you look where you want to go, you are far more likely to actually go there. Because the couple times that they tried this and it didn't work, the individual was not looking where they wanted to go. They were looking where they didn't want to go. And that's why it didn't work. So just like a cat will like leap at their prey, right? Like they are hyper focused on that, where they want to go, where that abundance is, where that desire is. They are hyper focused there. And everything about their being moves to make that achievable. This is the energy present over your intuition, over the element of water, of your connection with your feelings, your emotions. You are a hell of a manifesting machine right now. And I don't know why, but I use that word. You are one hell of a manifesting machine right now. Now, these cards, they came out in the shuffle. One of them, a couple of times actually, kind of strangely, so I put it back a few times. So finally, I just asked the divine to give me some clarifiers on it. So what we have here is the Four of Cups. So the overarching advice here then, tying it all together from the higher perspective, all the timelines, all the possible pathways you could take to spend time in reflection is very important. To remove distraction, to spend time outside, especially because nature is our natural environment. Whether we recognize it or not, or understand why, have the science, the proof, the science that we do have supports that we are happier, healthier, and more at peace when we spend time outside, especially if we ground. If we take any shoe, any rubber-soled shoe off of our feet and just stand on earth for 15 minutes a day, our health improves in so many ways. There is science backing this that we do know, and there's still so much we don't. So to spend time outside, if that's not, available, to just spend time with yourself in reflection, to really become aware of what you're giving your energy to. And where are you giving so much that it's depleting your energy stores to the point that it's detrimental to other energy or other areas that you need to give energy to as well. So you're coming out of a victory, yes, and you're invited to heal with this time, this awareness, this reflection. The need to understand, have a plan, have a good idea of your primary goals, or what is needed to get from point A to point B. So say your sleep schedule got all weird. Sleep was highlighted twice here in the reading very strongly as being affected. So maybe your first priority is a regular sleep schedule. So maybe you don't know how to do that. Maybe you've always struggled with it. So research is important. I would recommend possibly looking into some of the advice that they give on how to support the lucid dreaming experience through behaviors, because there's a lot of good sleep hygiene advice within setting that foundation. You maybe don't want to do lucid dreaming. That's fine. But you can learn a lot about sleep hygiene through doing that research. So that could be one of the very first pillar foundation priorities that you focus on. And then, your diet, sure. Like, what can you afford that is healthy? What can't you afford? How do you get through the month? How can you work within that to eat as healthy as you can? Hydration, supplements, exercise. Like, there's all these things, and it's going to be unique for each and every one of us because we are each unique. Each one of us has different needs. However subtly different or vastly different, we each have different needs, and we can learn so much from one another. So that prioritizing where you put your energy first and then second and then third while you're reflecting in this healing state. And then we have the upright Four of Pentacles. So it's not really a nickel and diming with this particular card. What it is you are so abundantly rich with possibility right now, but there's so much of it that you're completely unaware of. So how do you value what can come from all of this abundance through doing the prioritizing, through reflecting? And that is to move towards a goal, a purpose, a mission. Even if you don't understand where you're going or necessarily why you're going in that direction, eventually you understand why you're starting that now, what you're learning now. So purpose, what is your driving purpose, is important. So get clear on why you're pursuing the direction you are, what you're giving and overgiving and undergiving to, and how you can make those adjustments so that you could tap in even more to that abundance that you're just so tired and exhausted that you can't even see. It's like, say you just ran a marathon. Your muscles are spasming, your feet are like really not a good state. We'll not go into all the ways of which the end of a marathon could be painful. But the point is, you don't really want to go shopping. You're pretty tired. You want to do probably nothing for a while. That's kind of where this Four of Pentacles is. Like, you have so much you have gained along this victory that you're so overwhelmed and tired and worn out that you just can't really necessarily have the energy to even appreciate it right now because you're so tired. You'll begin to see and appreciate all of that karmic abundance that you have coming towards you as you begin the process of moving towards that goal, that mission, that purpose. So this is just an absolutely beautiful message today, and I really do want to thank each and every one of you. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for listening through to this point, because you're beautiful. If this message is for you, Congratulations. You're not alone. I want to say you're a badass. And it's time to be a badass at pampering you in this moment and kind of regroup. Get a game plan. At least, where am I going to put my foot next? And then the foot after that. And the foot after that. This is the getting yourself up, dusting yourself off, and doing your victory lap, which is like the rest of your life. It's your mission, it's your purpose. You overcame something that was very difficult. You get to enjoy what comes after that now. So, the divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste.